I never asked for neighbors. That was the whole damn point. When I signed the papers on this land, I was chasing quiet, not company, not rules, just a little patch of Vermont that felt like the world stopped spinning so fast. Rolling hills, thick trees hiding the road, a gravel driveway that plays its own music when your tires crunch over it, and a house I built myself with sweat, busted knuckles, and more than a few six-packs shared with friends under the unfinished rafters. 5 years ago, it was heaven, peace that hummed in your bones, not just your ears. Back then, Redbriar Grove was nothing but a realtor's rumor, a maybe someday thing, some luxury development no one thought would really appear. I never cared. My land wasn't for sale. Not then, not ever. But then, like mold on bread you forgot about, the HOA sprouted overnight. Row after row of identical houses with plastic shutters, perfect lawns, and an instruction manual on how to smile at your neighbor without ever really seeing them. And leading the parade, Karen Streethorn, president, judge, and, if you listen to her, the moral compass of Redbriar Grove. I only met her twice before things really went sideways. Both times, she smiled like she wanted to borrow sugar, but her eyes said she was measuring the place for new carpet. She once came by with a clipboard and suggested I repaint my shutters for neighborhood harmony, like I was part of their community. I told her, polite but firm, I'd never signed a thing, my land was here before Redbriar Grove had a name, and I liked my house just the way it was. She fake laughed, handed me a pamphlet about aesthetic harmony, and left me standing there with more questions than answers. Spring came, and things were tense but quiet. I kept to myself, tinkering with the garden, working on the porch swing. I'd hear my name whispered at the farmer's market. That architect guy who doesn't pay dues but has the best house. Damn right. Rows of plum and pear trees, not a single apple tree in sight. The birds liked it. So did I. And then there was Katie, Karen's daughter, but nothing like her mother. A little wild, a little sharp, all heart. She drove a Jeep older than her, nose ring glinting, curiosity in her eyes. She wandered over one afternoon, asking about my garden irrigation, and we ended up talking for hours. About architecture, books, bourbon, life outside HOA lines. Somewhere between banter and real talk, something stuck. We kept it quiet, didn't need a war with the neighbors, at least, not yet. One Saturday, sun dipping behind the hills, Katie and I sat on the porch, sharing a drink, laughing, just being. Later that night, we left town, checked into a little boutique hotel just for a night. No prying eyes, just two people forgetting the world for a bit. 3 days later, there was a pounding on my door. The cop kind, not the neighborly kind. I opened up to 2 officers, and, you guessed it, Karen with her trusty clipboard man. Michael Colton, the taller cop asked. You're under arrest for suspicion of grand theft of agricultural property. I blinked, thinking this had to be a joke. Karen stepped forward, venom wrapped in velvet, and claimed I'd stolen 84 apple trees from the HOA's orchard. 84. Dug up in the night. Damages exceeding $92,000. I laughed out loud, couldn't help it. You think I stole 84 trees in the middle of the night with what, a wheelbarrow? The cops didn't crack a smile. One read me my rights. The other cuffed me, Karen grinning like she'd just scored a touchdown. They marched me past my swaying plum trees, trees I'd planted with my own hands, and hauled me off. At the station, I held my ground. Told them to check my security cams. Told them to call Katie to look at my property, because I sure as hell wasn't hiding trees anywhere. After a couple hours, they had timestamps showing no traffic, photos of me and Katie at a hotel 2 counties away, and a flood of texts from neighbors calling the accusation insane. They let me go. Karen and her cronies had already disappeared, probably working up a news story. Then, the story broke online. Someone leaked the arrest. Blogs, Reddit, Twitter, suddenly I was trending. The memes were merciless. One had me as Paul Bunyan hauling trees, another as the star of the orchard heist. Love, lies, and leaves. Through it all, Katie kept texting. Still think I'm not worth the drama? I sent back a peach emoji. No apples allowed. But behind the jokes, I was furious. Arrested on my own property, no evidence, just Karen's word and a personal vendetta. And it was working. She was turning the whole HOA machine against me. That night, I called Katie. She answered, already apologizing for her mom, but I told her it wasn't on her. She asked what I was going to do. Lawyer up, I said. Next, I called Jack Northwell, a bulldog lawyer, ex-district attorney, the kind of guy who once took down a corrupt zoning board with nothing but a legal pad and an attitude. I told him everything. He didn't hesitate. "For million," he said. "That's what we sue for. Defamation, false arrest, emotional distress, malicious prosecution. And we go after the HOA and Karen personally. Make it hurt." Last call was to a drone operator I knew. I wanted aerial footage of my land. No apple trees, just a timestamp and proof. I posted it online with the caption, "No apples here, just HOA delusions." The video blew up. Jack filed the suit within 2 days. The media pounced. The narrative flipped. Now, everyone wanted to know why the HOA would accuse a non-member of stealing trees with no evidence, and why the complaint had a signature from a certified expert who didn't exist. The maps showing the orchard ran into my land, but my deed, county records, and satellite data said otherwise. Jack called a press conference on my porch, waving documents and video for the news cameras, calling it targeted harassment by a rogue HOA. The story went statewide. Even Good Morning America called. And that's when other residents started reaching out. Turns out Karen and her board weren't just after me. One neighbor fined for an American flag, another for a garden gnome, a third for building a treehouse. Jack added them to the witness list. Katie moved in, leaving her mom's house, and her mom's side, behind for good. I asked her if there'd ever really been an orchard. She laughed. There were maybe 12 apple trees. Most died in the frost. The rest looked like haunted scarecrows. Karen claimed 84. She always did love dramatic numbers, Katie said. Jack built a case like a siege engine, layer by layer. Subpoenaed internal HOA emails revealed plans to escalate pressure on resistant owners, a draft letter calling for tasteful coercion to enforce the community vision. The HOA fought back, motions to dismiss, delays, all of it shot down. Then, a twist. Katie, quiet on the porch one night, showed me emails from her mom. Threats, guilt, outright manipulation. If the board pressures him enough, he'll cave. People like him always cave, especially if it starts to affect his little girlfriend. Katie handed it all over to Jack. It became the keystone of our case. Proof this was never about apples, but about control. Karen's team tried to keep the emails out, but the judge let them in. Suddenly the case wasn't about missing trees, but about an HOA president using community authority for personal vendetta. Karen went on TV playing the victim, painting me as a troublemaker. The internet wasn't buying it. Her interviews turned into TikToks, memes, even a remix of her singing Community Unity, while a goat butted a fence. We pressed harder, demanded the HOA's incident list, got a joke of a report. Improper tree placement, non-standard patio fixtures. Jack grinned. We're going to bury them. But Karen fought back. She tried to force Katie out of her job at the family firm unless she retracted her statement and moved out. Katie resigned, with a signed affidavit. We added retaliation and witness intimidation to the lawsuit. The judge scheduled a hearing, subpoenas went out, and for the first time, I saw Karen lose her grip. Court was a circus. Packed house, journalists, neighbors, even a guy with a t-shirt that read, "Free the 84." Karen came in flanked by her lawyers, looking like she was headed to a board meeting, not a reckoning. Jack was calm, clinical. He laid out the facts. I wasn't in the HOA, the arrest was baseless, the evidence forged, the president had a personal motive, backed by emails and testimony. The defense called it all a misunderstanding. Jack pulled up the orchard map, asked why it didn't match the county deed. Clerical error, the lawyer muttered. 84 clerical errors, apparently. Laughter rippled through the courtroom. Then Katie took the stand, calm and clear. She read her mother's emails aloud, her mom's threats, her demands. She weaponized the HOA, Katie said. Other witnesses told their own stories. A veteran fined for a flag, a couple penalized for a playhouse, an old lady whose garden gnomes were confiscated. Abuse after abuse. Then, the bombshell. The treasurer, Linda Phelps, admitted Karen acted alone, even asked her to backdate documents. The court went silent. That day ended with Karen looking truly rattled. The final day, the crowd was bigger than ever. Jack presented a drone photo, just pear and plum trees. No apples. He walked the jury through every lie, every forged map, every threat. This isn't just a lawsuit, he said. It's about what happens when authority becomes a weapon. The defense had nothing left. The verdict came fast. $3 million in compensatory damages, $750,000 punitive, court-ordered HOA restructuring, Karen banned from any HOA leadership for 20 years. She didn't cry, didn't speak, just sat there, silent, lips white, finally realizing she'd lost. Outside, I told reporters I never wanted this fight. I just wanted to be left alone. 6 months later, I married Katie in a tiny church, navy suit that didn't quite fit, the pews full of people who used to look at me like I was trouble. Turns out, they just needed someone to take the first punch. After the reception, half wedding, half victory lap, I bought the old HOA orchard land at auction. Had 84 pear trees planted, in neat rows. Katie and I walked through them the morning after our wedding. She read the brass plaque out loud. Dedicated to those who know how to lie, but not how to count. We laughed, really laughed. Rumor had it Karen moved to a place where gardening required a permit. Old habits die hard. Redbriar Grove changed fast. The new HOA president was a retired Marine who thought rules should fit on a napkin and told me my mailbox was cool as hell. Katie joined a nonprofit fighting HOA abuse. The orchard bloomed every spring, and sometimes I'd walk through it, remembering everything. The anger, the humiliation, the fight, and realize, somehow, it all led here. A few weeks ago, I got a letter, no return address, just my name in careful cursive. Inside, a watercolor of an apple tree and a note. You may have one, but the neighborhood lost its unity. Hope your pears keep you warm. K. I laughed, loud, ugly, honest. Katie found me holding the card like a trophy. You should frame it, she said. Nah. I told her, I'm hanging it in the outhouse. We never wrote back. Some endings don't need answers. Instead, we threw a cookout. No dress code, no agenda, no rules, just neighbors, food, music, and kids chasing each other between the pear trees. The community that survived Karen, t-shirts pending, someone joked. And me? I sat back, beer in hand, Katie's fingers laced with mine, watching the sun go down over land that finally felt like home. Now tell me, was I right to fight, or did I go too far? Is there any such thing as too far when all you want is peace on your own land? Comment what you think. Tell me your wildest HOA story, and if you've ever had to stand up to a bully with a clipboard and a rulebook. I want to hear it.